everyone to Eat Well, Be Happy. I'm Deborah.
I'm Alyssa.
And today we're going to make 3 really yummy dishes for you. The first one is actually called
Yummy Edamame.
So there's no doubt that it's yummy. We're also going to be making a coleslaw with beets and carrots and a toasted sesame oil. And then because we've got some oriental flavors going on, we're going to finish up with something very light, a raspberry blueberry sorbet. So you're going to start with the yummy edamame.
I sure am. So this is a dish that involves many of the things that I like, one of which is truffle oil, which I've discovered several years ago, and I cannot stop using it for just about everything. But what I like to do when I cook is I like to think about what takes the longest, obviously, and then start with that. So the thing that takes the longest in this dish is something called a roasted garlic. So I'm cheating. Instead of using a whole clove of garlic, a whole bulb of garlic, I'm using the ones that you have in the store that are individually
organic and already peeled.
Already peeled, yeah. So we're cheating a little bit, but this makes it so easy to do, and you can just do it at home. And I like to keep a bunch of this in the refrigerator because you could throw it in anything, and it's so good. So I'm just taking a bunch of cloves, and I'm putting a little bit of olive oil on them, and then putting them in some foil. And we're going to stick them in the oven for about 35 minutes until they get brown. You don't want them to be black because then they get bitter. Yeah. But you want them to look like this. So this is the browned garlic, which makes the taste a lot less pungent. It's a lot more smooth and there's no bitterness to it. And also gives this beautiful color. And you also get the advantage of this lovely garlic-infused olive oil, which you can, of course, use for your dishes as well. The next thing that I'd like to do for this is to start the rice. It's 2 cups of short grain brown rice with about 4 cups of water, and we've cooked it. And when it's hot, I like to put it in a bowl and douse it with my favorite ingredient, truffle oil. I've already done that, so I'm just going to add a little bit just for fun.
So how do they make truffle oil?
I think it's just the aroma of the truffle. I don't even know that there's any truffle in it. It's usually just the aroma. So
I was assuming they soaked the truffles.
It would be nice, but for that price, I don't think you'd be able to do it. So that's basically just truffle oil soaking into the rice, which when I do it at the store, our good friend Ray comes over and says, "Oh, you're making that again," because he can't stand the smell. So that's the next thing that takes a lot of time. Then we have frozen edamame. Now, edamame pods, you really need to keep them frozen. They don't last long
It's a very perishable product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we keep them frozen, and then when we're ready to make this dish, I just throw some boiling water over them just to defrost them. And then when I'm ready, I don't add the edamame or the parsley until the very end because I like to keep the nice green color, but when I'm ready, I'll just drain those. So here we go.
Okay.
The next thing is we take some, let's move this over so that you can see what we're doing. We take some crimini mushrooms. I have about 2 pounds today, and these are baby portobellos, believe it or not. And instead of washing them in the sink, because when we put water in them, they get all soggy, I just take a little wet towel and just do that. And I know I
can't even be bothered to do that. A little dirt I always think is healthy for us.
Absolutely. And since it's organic, there's no pesticides, it's really not that much of an issue. And when I was a kid, they told me that you need to eat a pound of dirt for it to become a problem. So I don't see that happening anytime soon. But anyway, if you're concerned, you could just
wipe them,
which takes a long time. I do that in the store in case you're wondering. I do wipe them all. Okay, so then I take a lot of olive oil and I put it in a pan and I cook them until they get nice and brown, like this. Yeah, I would actually cook them maybe a drop longer, but for our purposes, that's okay. And then I throw them over the hot rice. So that would look like this. See if I can do this backwards for the camera. Hey, look at that. I know you don't like to waste anything, so let's get all of those shrooms out there. And you can see there's still a lot of olive oil. That's just going to help. That's going to be part of our dressing, and it's going to dress the salad really nicely. Okay, good. Right. Now, we want this hot pot to be a little bit hot because now we're going to do one more thing. Well, we have a few more things to do. Who am I kidding? Which kind of salt are we going to use today?
Oh, this is actually the real salt from Utah.
And what do we like about this salt?
We
Oops,
like
what have I
it that
done?
it's not been purified, that it has all the minerals. It has a more complex flavor because of all those minerals. And the real salts, as we know, don't affect the blood pressure as the purified, pure white junk, excuse me.
I love the way that looks. It's so pretty with the little
Yeah.
speckles. So we're going to do something that's called mashing the garlic. And we basically use the salt as an abrasive on the board. And we'll use a fair amount because that's going to also salt our dish. So I don't know why I put the mushrooms in here. That was a mistake. Whatever. So a fair amount of garlic, depends on your taste. You know, it is cooking. If it were baking, we'd have to be precise, but we don't have to be precise because we're cooking.
It looks so succulent and soft. I mean, that's the only word I can think is
Yeah.
this looks succulent.
And it tastes a lot more mellow when it's roasted like that. That's why it makes such a good complement to anything. Like you can rub it on a steak or a
Put
chicken.
it on a piece of toast.
That'd be great. So look at that. It makes just a nice little mash. And I'm putting the stove back on. And we're going to cook it just a little bit to caramelize it and to just make sure that it's almost liquid. That's how we mash it, just with the side of the knife and the abrasive of the salt. Sorry about this. And then we just throw it in the pan. Like that. Is it on?
No.
No. Ooh, now it is. Okay, so I know I smelled gas. So we're just gonna cook that garlic a little bit, and then we're gonna throw a little bit of, nice catch, of red wine vinegar on that to deglaze our pan. Woo! Okay. And then that's going to get tossed right on top of our shrooms. And we're just going to chop up some parsley, and then we're ready to complete the dish. So that looks good. So you can see that a lot of the garlic is almost liquefied. That also will become part of the dressing. So now we have salt in there, and we have garlic, and we have olive oil, which is basically a good dressing, right? And then some parsley, and that's it.
Here, let's do it over here.
Okay. Oh, that vinegar really, you can really.
You want a spatula?
Yes, please. Okay, thank you. And
You
this
want
can
this gone?
disappear. Yes.
I'll do that.
Okay.
If you want to.
So we're going to mix that up a little bit. So basically, we want all of the hot ingredients mixed in before we add the cold. So right now it's pretty. It's got nice earthy tones to it, but when we add the green, it's going to spruce it up. So we have all of our ingredients except for one.
Petrozilia.
Would you mind getting me one more little, actually this size bowl? I seem to have forgotten that I'm going to need to strain my edamame. So we're just going to take off the tips of the parsley, and I know that Deborah's going to save that for stock because she doesn't like any waste. Gonna chop up this parsley really nicely. Okay. Would you like to do the honors of
Yes.
switch sides, and you can strain that while I chop the parsley?
Absolutely.
All right, we can dump the edamame in.
And edamame, for those who don't know, are just baby soybeans.
And can you tell us a little bit about the healthful properties of our soybeans, friends?
Well, they are non-GMO, so they're not genetically modified. They're grown organically. And soy is one of those things that is being genetically modified so much. I think they say about 96, 97% of the soy products in this country are genetically modified. And what scares me about genetic modification is that we just don't know.
Yeah.
And you know, there have been studies showing that it does increase allergies and that it does affect the gut lining. So I'm not a science experiment, and I don't want you to be a science experiment or you to be a science experiment either.
Yeah. All right, so we have nice non-GMO edamame, and we have a nice bunch of chopped parsley, and we're just going to toss this together, and suddenly it pops.
And parsley is really high in iron and chlorophyll, so that's the food that the plants make that actually purifies our blood and just does all kinds of good things for us.
Excellent. And there we have it. Yummy edamame.
Do you want to put the rest of the parsley in there and I'll mix while you
Sure,
do that?
that'd be great.
All right. Ooh, that smells wonderful. And I'm trying to get the clumps of rice sort of broken up here a little bit too. Ah. It's funny, every time I eat this dish, I forget how wonderful it is.
Aw.
You know, sometimes I'll get it for lunch in the store and I'll just, if I haven't brought my own lunch, and I say, wow, this is great.
I'm glad.
All right, so now since I'm gonna need that board
I'm
too.
going to go give it a quick wash.
All right, and I'm gonna bring over the food processor. The next dish we're going to be making is that coleslaw with carrots and beets. And in the olden days, when I was growing up, my mother used to make us take turns grating the vegetables for salads. And boy, did I hate it when she made salads that required shredding or grating. But nowadays we have the food processor, and that is just wunderbar.
There you go.
Thank you, Dawn. All right, so this recipe calls for 4 large beets. Sorry, 4 carrots, 2 large beets, red onion, parsley. So the same themes are repeating themselves, as you can see. So we're going to use about 4 carrots, about 2 beets, half a red onion. We're going to be using some black olives and some ginger, and we're going to be using a bunch of fresh parsley. And I absolutely love these cloth bags because you can just shake the parsley under the water and then put it in the bag and stick it in your fridge, and then it sort of dries it, but it keeps it nice and fresh. My mother used to take old towels and sew them together. And that's how
Really?
she made hers.
Wow.
And I remember she used to hang them outside in the clothesline so the vegetables would dry. And one time I remember the grasshoppers got inside them, and we were tossing a salad and it started jumping. So that was really funny. So I just had to show you this. Isn't this a great carrot? This comes from a Crown of Maine cooperative. And I look at it and it's amazing. Obviously this poor little creature was encountering rocks in the soil and couldn't go straight. So he persevered no matter
sure
what.
did.
Yeah, and we
It's a
could
good
use
lesson.
him, except he's too beautiful to sacrifice. So
Yes.
at any
He'll
rate.
be our mascot.
So we are going to shred. You can see I have just scrubbed the carrots and the beets. That I have not, I need something for the,
Here, let me get you something.
yeah. I haven't peeled them because first of all, number one, who has time? And second of all, why would we want to sacrifice the vitamins that are in the peel? So I am just going to put it into the food processor with the shredding blade. So we're not using the knife blade, we're using the shredding blade. And I like a coarse one. Many of them are fine, and that will make this salad sort of soupy or liquidy. So make sure if you don't have a coarse one, just spring for the extra money. And the harder the vegetable, the harder you push.
Okay.
Okay. So this salad is literally like a 5-minute salad to make, which is one reason we chose it, just to show you that you can do it too.
What do we do without food processing? Can you imagine shredding all this by hand?
I don't know. All right. Cookie crumb.
Cookie.
How did a cookie crumb get in there? Would you mind bringing me a spatula?
I don't know.
One of the rubber ones. And we'll have to save that carrot later because it didn't grate properly. Okay. So you remember those carrots and beets that we didn't peel? And you see, you can't see any peel now. Nobody's going to shake their finger at you and say, why didn't you peel your vegetables? Or I can't believe you don't peel your vegetables. All right, so we've got that.
Ooh, that looks so pretty, so vibrant.
We're now going to put in our red onion.
Why do you like a cleaver?
Because it cuts, for me, cuts more all at once, and then I use it as a scooper.
Uh-huh.
And they're really hard to find. And this one needs sharpening. You can tell by the way it's slipping around my onions. Okay.
That's a lot of red onion.
A lot of red onion.
Woo!
Too much?
No, not for me. Just make sure everybody eats it.
Puts hair on your chest. And then we're going to use an oil-cured black olive. And we're going to just, you know, I'm lazy. I'm not going to chop them. I would say if I were having company, I'd chop them. Just because you'll get more, you'll get one in every bite.
Yeah.
And we're going to use about 2 tablespoons of our fresh ginger. And again, I am not going to peel this because it's organic, and so I'm not worried about any pesticides or herbicides. Ginger, good for the circulation, makes things taste good.
Digestion, yeah?
Yeah, very good for digestion. And if somebody is nauseous, if they're pregnant, ginger, just take a piece of ginger and nibble on a, and that'll do the trick. If you have motion sickness, if you're in a car or a boat, you can nibble on ginger and that'll take care of that too. And if you're just queasy from whatever.
From eating too many chocolate chip cookies?
Well, people don't usually get queasy from that. All right, so there goes our ginger. And then we're going to put in our parsley.
That smells so good.
And I'm going to save this to make vegetable juice with or put it in soup or something like that. But other than that, I think I need a sharper knife, for heaven's sakes. I have a tendency not to sharpen my knives, and then when somebody comes to visit, they usually do it for me. So again, parsley, we probably have mentioned this before, but really high in iron and really high in chlorophyll. And I actually take some liquid chlorophyll every morning. I just put it in water with juice of half a lemon, and it's very alkalizing. So, you know, we struggle a lot with acidity in this country because just about everything we eat, starting with chocolate and coffee and meat and cheese, makes us acidic. And we function a lot better when we're more alkaline and more balanced. And this is one of those great foods that does that for us.
All right. Not to mention the beautiful green.
Right. All right. So the next thing we're going to put in here, let me check my list. We've got our 4 carrots, we've got our 2 beets, we've got our parsley, we've got our red onion. We're going to put in Celtic or Himalayan salt. And then we are going to be putting in black pepper.
So about a teaspoon of each?
About a teaspoon, yep. And Alyssa, if I could ask you to put in about a half a cup of toasted sesame oil.
Half a cup, huh?
Half a cup. You want a measuring cup?
Nope.
All right. So about a half a cup of toasted sesame oil. And then we're going to be putting in about a 1/4 cup of lemon juice and a 1/4 cup of lime juice, which I just pre-measured here.
All right.
And I think lemon and lime together add something just great with the toasted sesame oil.
I can smell it.
And then the last thing we're going to put in here are going to be hemp seeds. So we could use sesame seeds, we could use nothing, we could leave it as it is, but I'm going to put in the hemp seeds, which again are really high in omega-3s. I think they're the richest plant source of omega-3s. So you know how all the doctors are telling everyone to take omega-3 fish oils.
Oh, really?
Well, you can get omegas from non-fish as well. It's not as strong, but hey, there we go.
But you don't smell like fish oil all the time.
Right, well, and that way we're also getting extra calcium and extra protein.
It has all that, huh?
It has all of that.
Wow, no wonder they're so popular.
So hemp seeds are one of the superfoods or the power foods. All right, you want to taste that for me?
You bet I do.
All right.
All right.
Taste,
Okay.
mama.
Yum.
All right. How's that?
So good.
So good?
I love the sesame oil. I love the lime and the lemon. And I like the hemp. I've never had that before, believe it or not. Sorry to say.
Alyssa.
I know. But it's true, and it's delicious. Well, now I will.
So have you seen hemp by themselves? Would you like some?
I don't know.
Let's see. This hemp, of course, is nothing to do with the hemp that people smoke. So we're just making that very clear. This is a food hemp and not a smoking hemp. And it is grown primarily in Canada. And it really has this, these are called hemp hearts because it's the hull has been taken off. And this is one seed that in order to get its benefit, you don't need to grind or you don't need to soak. And it's just really lovely. If you read the container here, they make all kinds of claims there that are somewhat outrageous, but the product is still wonderful.
It's delicious. So is it a nut of some sort?
It's a seed.
It's a seed, okay.
So like a
Yeah.
sesame seed, a poppy seed, a sunflower seed, a
Tastes
pumpkin
wonderful.
seed. And the seeds seem to have more beneficial, everything than any other food just about we eat except for greens and avocados.
Wow. It's really
So
tasty.
there. So we'll put that over there and we'll say that's done. And the last dish,
Shall I remove this?
you can, thank you.
Okay.
The last dish we're going to do is going to be our raspberry blueberry sorbet. And you do have to use a super blender for something like this. So usually I try and just sort of cover the blades and start with a cup, but I know, and I can use another spatula too, or the stick
sure.
that comes with that. And so I have here about 4 cups total of berries. So I have organic raspberries and organic wild Maine blueberries. And we all know that blueberries are one of the berries that are highest in antioxidant values. So they're supposed to be higher, I think, except for any other than acai and aronia berries. So aronia berries are just coming along, and we'll have to do something with those. But right now, they're not there yet. We just actually discovered one farm in the country that grows aronia berries and grows them organically. Otherwise, they come from outside the USA. And I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of cinnamon. So we have about our teaspoon cinnamon in there. And another reason for putting cinnamon in, besides the wonderful flavor and the slight spiciness of it, is that it stabilizes blood sugar. So a lot of people who are diabetic take cinnamon as a supplement. And also on that theme, because we have things there that can spike our blood sugar. The rice can spike your blood sugar, the beets can spike your blood sugar, the carrots can. So we're sort of stabilizing all that, and we're adding as our sweetener here stevia. And I just happen to like this vanilla stevia, so I'm going to put in about 2 squirts, sometimes 3 works better. I'll put in 3.
It's a very sweet sweetener, isn't it?
Yeah, stevia actually is a South American plant, and you can grow it in your garden here, and I have, and it grows about yay high. And when you put any of the leaves into your mouth, you have this explosion of sugar flavor, and they say it's 200 times sweeter than sugar. So here we are, and
Always need more water.
well, I'm going to try with not. We want to try with as little water as possible because we're not making a smoothie. We're making just about a tablespoon or 2. We're really trying to make a sorbet here. So the texture is different. And as you can see, if I haven't already said that, you really do need to use one of the blenders that has a super powerful motor, because this would kill your regular blender. And yes, you do have to keep stopping it and scraping it down, but in the end you'll have, and you can also do this smooth or chunky. Right now it's pretty chunky. We'll put another 2 tablespoons of water in. Thank you, darling. And we'll see what we can get it to do this time. I once used a longer plunger and it ground into my dessert
Oh my
just
gosh.
beautifully. What do we think?
That looks
Out
great.
there?
Yeah, that looks fabulous.
Try it one more blender. Okay, so what we have here now is fairly chunky. It's not smooth. You could do it more. You could actually even add some cream if you wanted to.
Oh, that would be nice.
Or honey or agave, which would make it smoother. You want to taste it?
Of course I do. How about you?
Taste- No,
Nope.
you taste it.
All right.
Sweet enough?
Definitely.
Okay.
That's really good.
So we did 3 squirts.
3 squirts.
3 squirts.
Do you want to plate it into some
I
lovely
think so.
little...
Let's put it into the little cups there. And,
This is a nice clean spoon since you didn't taste.
all right.
Oh, you want to use
Yeah,
that?
we use that. So here we're putting out our raspberry blueberry sorbet. I've done this in the summertime with frozen watermelon, with cantaloupe, with all kinds of things, and it's wonderful with every one of them. Strawberries. I've done it so it's nice and smooth. Kids seem to prefer it smooth,
Maybe with a cookie on top.
with a cookie on top. They'd have to be very lucky to get a cookie.
That's probably good. Right?
Yep.
3 of them.
All right, so we will continue to dish this out in just a minute, but for today we wanted to say I'm Deborah,
I'm Alyssa.
and from all of us at Deborah's Natural Gourmet, we so enjoyed having you in our kitchen today, and we've made 3, I think, terrific dishes that you will make at home and really enjoy, and easy as peasy pie.